After the beginning of the Russian Civil War in 1917, many leaders around the Russian Empire took advantage of the chaos and tried to liberate their lands from Russian domination. Huge rebellions broke out in regions such as Central Asia and the Caucasus. In November 1919, the Russian Empire was defeated by an 89-year-old man from Dagestan named Uzun Haji. The 10,000-man army of Uzun Haji humiliated the invading Russian army and forced them to flee the northern Caucasus region. This was one of the Russian Empire's greatest defeats. Uzun Haji was an Islamic scholar born in Dagestan, in the village of Salta. During his youth, Uzun Haji completed his Islamic education in the Ottoman Empire. Shortly after returning to Dagestan, Uzun Haji took advantage of the Russo-Turkish War and launched a rebellion against the Russian Empire in 1877. However, this rebellion was crushed, and Uzun Haji was arrested and exiled to a Siberian labor camp. Uzun Haji was sentenced to 7 years of hard labor. However, Uzun Haji managed to escape from prison and returned to Dagestan after 4 years. In the year 1910, Uzun Haji was arrested for a second time after he built an Islamic school in his village without the permission of the Russian authorities. He was exiled to a prison in Tatarstan. However, after a year in prison, Uzun Haji managed to escape once again. This time he did not return to Dagestan. Instead, Uzun Haji traveled to the city of Mecca in Arabia in order to perform the Islamic pilgrimage of Hajj. During his stay in Mecca, Uzun Haji was able to meet many Muslim pilgrims from the Caucasus. Uzun Haji gained the support of these pilgrims who were from the North Caucasian regions of Chechnya and Ingushetia. Therefore, on their way back from the pilgrimage, these pilgrims smuggled Uzun Haji into Chechnya, where he lived for 2 years. During his stay in Chechnya, Uzun Haji called on the people to wage a holy war against the Russian Empire. Uzun Haji managed to gain the support of thousands of Chechens, and thousands of people from various regions of the Caucasus would visit him and listen to his anti-Russian speeches. After the beginning of the Russian Civil War in 1917, Uzun Haji finally returned to Dagestan, as the Russian army had left Dagestan in order to focus on fighting the Red Army in Moscow. Therefore, Uzun Haji began to assemble an army and began to plan a massive revolt in order to liberate the Caucasus from Russian domination. Uzun Haji managed to assemble an army of over 10,000 men from Dagestan, Chechnya, Ossetia, and Kabarda. By the year 1919, the Russian Empire realized that it was losing its grip over the Caucasus. Therefore, the Russian army launched a full-scale war against the army of Uzun Haji. Uzun Haji engaged in guerrilla warfare and shocked the Russians with surprise attacks in the mountains of Dagestan. By February 1920, the Russian army led by General Anton Ivanovich Denikin was forced to flee Dagestan and Chechnya. After this victory, Uzun Haji established his own Islamic state known as the North Caucasus Emirate. This state had strong relations with the Ottoman Empire and was a highly sophisticated and organized government. Uzun Haji's state collected taxes, printed its own money, and had an advanced judicial system. After the creation of the North Caucasus Emirate, the Soviets began to take control of Russia. The Communists tried to convince Uzun Haji to join their newly formed Soviet Union. However, Uzun Haji did not trust the Soviets and refused to submit to them. Therefore, the Soviets declared war against Uzun Haji and his state. Uzun Haji declared a jihad against the Soviets. The army of Uzun Haji inflicted heavy losses on the Soviets. The Soviets tried to persuade Uzun Haji to stop fighting them and offered him the honorary title of the Mufti of the Caucasus if he submitted to their rule. Uzun Haji refused to accept this position and kept fighting the Red Army. While he was engaged in a war against the Soviet Union, Uzun Haji suddenly died at the age of 90 in March 1920. Shortly after the death of Uzun Haji, the Soviets conquered the North Caucasus, and Chechnya, Dagestan, and Ingushetia were transformed into autonomous Soviet republics. The death of Uzun Haji was the loss of the only leader that could have defeated the Soviets and kept them out of the Caucasus.